on, babies.
That is not the title of the show, Raymond. That is not the title I gave you.
Told you.
This is not a civil war. Far from it. And how dare you victim shame the Civil War veterans. This is actually more of a footy, pajamas, and chocolate milk podcast. Huzzah for Stef Diggs and you baby Patriots fans who have dropped the bar so fucking low that a 32-year-old wide receiver with one knee and a malcontent problem, we're now throwing parades for that instead of Super Bowls. That's what I'd like to talk about. I'd like to pump the brakes on Stef Diggs for a second, if I could. Also, P.S., by the way, it's opening day. Red Sox are on, and they won. So huzzah for them. So let's talk about that. Let's pump the brakes on Stef Diggs, shall we? While you two try to inflate it up like the reincarnation of Jerry Rice just walked into Foxborough. Before we do that, let's do some opening takes. I'll start. The bar on you fucking loser Patriots fans is so low. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. You're not even willing to look at the other side of this signing from Stef Diggs for $26 million guaranteed. Can you imagine Stef Diggs and Travis Hunter? Super Bowl, back on. Just Ray creaming his pants all night thinking about the cornerback and the 32-year-old malcontent with one knee as your starting wide receivers next year. Woohoo! That sounds great. Can we just calm down? Can we bring the bar up to at least normalcy? I get it. You're the worst team in the league, Patriots, and they've made some nice moves, some nice additions, but there are still far too many question marks on this Patriots team that starts from the very top in Robert Kraft. And this signing by Stef Diggs doesn't change a whole lot from the philosophy of Robert Kraft that we've seen over the custom years. I've got some numbers to back that up too, if you'd like, whether you do or not. I'm going to give them to you later on the show. Bobby, your opening take.
Well, we got to meet our new Celtics owner, Billy Chisholm, and now we know why he's so happy. And it isn't just because he's rich. He's married to a woman that firmly believes in sex after childbirth. And we're a big fan of mothers here. We're even bigger fan of sexually active mothers. So we'd like to formally welcome you to the community and thank you for joining and thank you for putting out this wonderful message.
Yeah, your mother's ass, Billy Chisholm's kids. And if she would like to come on the podcast, Kimberly, you're more than welcome. We can
absolutely come on down. We'd love to talk to you.
Bobby's an expert in book reviews, so we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Raymond, your opening take.
Thank you there, Richard. Mine is about the Celtics. The Celtics have locked up the 2 seed. They could pull off a miracle and still get the 1, but health outweighs a 1 seed, and Joe Mazzulla needs to use that pea brain of his and start resting guys. There's no need to rush Tatum back after that sprained ankle. Porzingis is dealing with some sort of illness. You got guys dealing with injury bugs. The time is to rest these guys so you're not limping into the playoffs. Health weighs way more than a couple wins in the regular season, so hopefully Joey Maz does the right thing.
We shall see on that. What does that say about the state of baseball? It's opening day. The Red Sox get a win, and no one wants to talk about it. Generally, I would have taken up that mantle, but you bozos got me so worked up over this fucking Stef Diggs thing. I had to lower the bar. So that's what we will talk about the Red Sox, but a little bit later on. We are going to start with the huzzah for Stef Diggs and the Patriots ongoings. We'll do some Red Sox talk. We'll do some Celtics talk. They've escaped tragedy, both on the court and because of us, a.k.a. me, off the court. So I'd like to tell you all about that, how we saved the Celtics and Billy Chisholm and his sex-craved wife. 10 questions from a guy named Rob and Simplest Minds of the Week. Welcome to Simple Minds Sports Show, Friday Rewind, live Thursday, March 27th. Apparently, the Celtics are dumb front-running pussies. This is the same team they have been for 4 years running.
Well, my worst nightmare came true. Mazzulla and Mayo are friends. What the fuck? Apparently they've known each other since Virginia. They have these docking sessions where they talk about ball and managing people.
I'm on vacation. I'm going to quay all these. I'm going to fucking watch them this week.
Do you say quay?
Is it not quay?
It's Q. It's Q. It's Q-U-E, you idiot!
Ladies and gentlemen, Stefon Diggs.
Free agent wide receiver Stefon Diggs has reached an agreement with the Patriots for 3 years, $69 million, including $26 million of that guaranteed.
Wow.
So we just talked about whether or not the Patriots are cheap. They certainly were not cheap. They did not cheap out here, Phil. This is a huge need that is finally filled for the Patriots, even if that need might be kicked down the road a little.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be done at receiver.
Right.
You have helped fill that need by signing this player, because when he was at his best last year before he got injured, he was a tremendous number 2. He averaged basically 6 catches for 60 yards a game for Houston as a number 2 to Nico Collins, and was tremendous. And from people that I've spoken to there, worked hard, practiced hard, was a great teammate, and you're hoping he brings all those things to your locker room as well. He's also, Bert, going to bring some professionalism, somebody who knows how to work on his craft to a receiver room in desperate need of those things. And this is a big number. I can't get past the salary, the number of guaranteed dollars. I mean, this in some ways gets back to Tom's story. Who are they going to spend the money? Yes, they're maybe a little bit low relative to some other teams, no doubt. But who do they have the money to spend on? They blew this guy out of the water, is my guess, in terms of guaranteed money.
Yeah.
There you go, NBC Sports Boston giving you initial take on the Stef Diggs signing. Our good friend Trenny announcing it there. 3 years, $69 million, $26 million guaranteed. Stefon Diggs, 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons until last year when he got hurt. I don't know if anyone knew that. I don't know if you guys realized he did get hurt last year. Six catches, 60 yards, half a touchdown a game through 8 weeks last year. Not quite the production from his prime, of course, as he reached his 30s. But then in late October, he tore his ACL. He turns 32 in November of this season. But per Adam Schefter, a.k.a. Johnny Kraft, he will be ready in week 1. Even though the average return for an ACL injury across the NFL, the history of the NFL, is 10 to 12 months, Stef Diggs is going to defeat time as a 32-year-old and be back to form like he was in Minnesota. Isn't that right, Raymond?
Yeah, I think so. He's going to be a number 2 wide receiver. That's all you need him for.
Whoa. What is that? Excuse me?
Number 2. I've said that in the text exchange the whole time. He's not the number 1. He's the number 2 guy that is going to be on this team.
I believe the email said, please give me your initial reaction to the Diggs signing per your embarrassing behavior on the text chain.
That's what I said on the text exchange. I said
backpedaling now.
Not backpedaling. I said that he was going to be your number 2 day 1 starter for the Patriots at wide receiver. You still have another hole to fill at wide receiver 1, but that is a nice person to have at wide receiver 2.
When there's going to be no wide receiver 1, he's going to be the volume guy if he's healthy. He's going to get all those targets. He will be the one this year.
Pussy.
You're looking for the text, aren't you, son of a bitch? Good luck. You got to fucking wait to scroll.
I'm just giving you. I'll just see if we can get a little evidence here. Bobby, please, your initial reaction to the Stefon Diggs signing.
Yeah, my initial thought was, okay, good. They're filling out the roster with decent talent that can play, and the guy has upside. He's obviously a good player. I think some of those stats and what he was saying there, where he was listed as like a number 2, was a little bit downplaying about his effect on the field. I think if you watched the games, you could see him pop. He was getting open and how they were using him. I think that's going to be how he gets used in the Josh McDaniels offense. I think you're going to see him in that high-volume slot role. I think he'll be that guy. I think it's exciting for them to have a good player, someone that we know, a known commodity. It isn't someone that we're going to hope that can be good. He's a bridge receiver. He's not the answer, but it's the first step to them getting someone of that caliber in the door so that they can continue to do this and then build a wide receiver room that can be credible.
As far back as I can find, is you guys ever put on Creed recently? It's fucking hits.
That song does hit. You fucking take a nice little edible and just sit back with a Bud Light in your hand. It fucking hits hard, dude.
That's what Ray had to say earlier.
And you said it was the prison break of rock and roll.
The prison break of rock and roll is basically Creed. Bobby backpedal too. You got look. The sign. We can get into the signing if you want.
And backpedal. I said the same thing.
You called it a good signing for a really good player, possibly
good. I just said it was good. I used the same word.
Yeah, he did use the same words.
You guys are way backpedaling. I have to find it. I'll find it initially. This is not just you. It's the whole goddamn reaction from everybody. How does nobody give a shit that a 32-year-old wide receiver that relies on quickness and agility blew his ACL in the middle of last year. Like, whether he can come back in week 1 or not, which he can't, by the
No,
way.
he won't play week 1. That's bullshit.
The idea that he can be a number 2, which is not the way you're talking about it. And by the way, who's the number 1 if he's a number 2? Nobody.
Don't have one. He's going to be the
he'll
high
have
volume
to be a
guy.
number 1. Therefore, he won't be able to act as a number 2, and he won't be as good. You're going to get the trickle down effect. The idea that he can come back at 32 years old with a blown ACL, rushing a recovery, and even give you what he gave you last year is crazy. He can't. Now it's a over exaggeration from the response from fans, because Pop Douglas is still your number 1 wide receiver right now as you enter the season, and we understand what that receiving core is and has been. So sure, it's hypothetically an upgrade if he can get back to 75% of what he can do. But honestly, I think this has as good a chance as completely fucking falling apart as being good, as even being good. And whatever you want to consider good from a broken Stef Diggs, you have just as good of a chance of him not ever recovering fully and not actually being a number 2 for this team, just withering away the $26 million. And there's the problem that bugged me is there's not enough people talking about that. We're just celebrating because you got a name, and it's the biggest name at wide receiver since Randy Moss. So woo! Let's throw the fucking balloons up. Woo!
So you're unhappy because they spent money on a wide receiver that is 32 years old coming off an ACL injury, but yet you would be happy if they got another veteran guy who's in their mid-30s, and that would make everything all well for the Patriots nation.
What the fuck are you talking about? Please.
You said that you wanted another veteran wide receiver in here. You said if they got another veteran wide receiver in here and draft a rookie, then you would be happy with the Stef Diggs signing. You said that on the text exchange.
I'm half paying attention to you because I'm trying to find your text message. I have said from the beginning that this team needs 2 legitimate veteran wide receivers. I said Cooper Kupp and Amari Cooper would be fine on that. Partially because I want a guy that can go in there and be in training camp and play through the summer and work with Drake May, which Stef Diggs can't. He can't do that. He won't be on the field until late September, early October. His body as a 32-year-old is not going to respond as well. He's not going to have the chemistry that they need for him to do that because he's not a number 2 on this team. He's the only option on this team that you have at his potential talent level. So all of that combined makes me think this is, it's not good enough. Now, all we can do is react on what they do now. What you were doing was projecting into, something else. They're going to get Travis Hunter, and all of a sudden they're going to be this explosive offense. Right now, as it stands right now, Stef Diggs does not solve your problem. He really doesn't solve any problem. He's just not good enough, and because of the injury, it's not going to do anything for you.
I understand that you think that, though, but he's one of the guys that actually can catch the fucking football on this team.
He doesn't have a knee. He doesn't have a fucking knee.
You act like an ACL injury is like a career-ending injury.
Okay, shall we?
If you want to, you can go ran through all these fucking dumb names, except for one. All the rest of them are idiots.
Astute. Bobby, looked like you were going to say something. Before I give you the history of blown ACLs in the NFL and what you can expect, please finish your thought.
Well, I understand that the Patriots have to take on some risk. There was no way that they were going to be able to get a player at this position in this offseason without either A, unloading a premium asset and then a massive contract, or B, just drafting one and getting lucky. Other than this, there was going to have to be some risk in the player in order to get someone in at this position. So it's just the unfortunate card that we're dealt with right now, and they can still add a secondary veteran receiver. There's Lockett out there. There's still your guy Cooper, so they could still add that tandem.
I hope the fence feels well up your gluteus maximus there, Vine. The idea of the Patriots having to take on risk, I'll get to. I don't care. The deal is fine. Just the player's not going to be who you.
The risk is the injury. I'm talking about the injury. That's the risk.
Yeah, the risk isn't of the player.
The money is no risk. The money is just the money. It's the injury.
Right. The risk is it's a Patriots deal, like it always is. It's low risk, high. It's a low risk, high reward. But there's a very good chance that the player just doesn't work. And the response is, we've got our guy. We've got a number 1. The offense is great. Or if you're Raymond, Diggs signed. Patriots, boom, 3 for 69, 26 million guaranteed. Imagine Hunter and Diggs on the right side, and then he gives you the South Park coming everywhere emoji. That's the immediate response that we got from Ray.
Yeah, I didn't say he was number one.
Not he'll be a nice number 2. Come on.
Travis Hunter on one side and Diggs on the other. That'd be a fucking nice tandem right there. Would it not?
Yeah, if Diggs can get on the field. And Travis Hunter's a cornerback that they're saying may not even be able to play wide receiver in the NFL. So I don't know about that. I'm not too sure about that. It's definitely not a South Park come emoji worth signing worthy, I don't think. Can I just give you the history of the shortest recovery time in for wide receivers?
Yeah, I'll give you a solo. You have floor is yours. Yeah, floor is yours. Here you go.
1997, Jerry Rice, returned 3.5 months after a torn ACL at the age of 35. You know what happened to him?
You got hurt.
He immediately ruptured his fucking kneecap. In direct result.
I don't even remember this happening. This is fucking stupid.
As a direct result of the surgery he had to repair his ACL.
Was he playing for the Broncos at that time?
I don't know. Yeah. 2022, Chris Godwin tore his ACL in 2021. December of 21, returned in September of 22. He had a 9-month recovery. That's probably the best between him and Kupp, who also had a 9 to 10-month recovery in 2019, and both returned to the field more or less to start the season. They missed a week or two. They were 26 years old. They were 5 years younger than Stef Diggs is now. The other guy on this list, do you remember Amari Rodgers?
Nope.
Spent a cup of coffee in the
Packers,
NFL.
right?
He's got the fastest. He recovered in 5.5 months at 20 years old to play for Clemson, and then basically sucked in the NFL. So I don't know if you count him. You want a more realistic timeline? 2017, our very own Julian Edelman goes down in August in the preseason with a torn ACL. He doesn't return until week 5 of the following season, 16 months to fully recover and get back on the field. And then he did have a pretty productive season that year. Why? I would assume Tom Brady had something to do with it and Rob Gronkowski sitting next to him. Just clue me in, Ray. Do the Patriots still have Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski?
No.
Okay, just wondering. I have this other list. This is a comprehensive list of wide receivers in the past 5 years that have torn their ACL. This is college and pro. A number of these names that I don't know, so I didn't look up. Tylan Wallace, Preston Williams, I don't know those guys. Kelvin Harmon, I don't know those guys. Cortland Sutton is a name you should remember or know. In 2020, week 2, he tore his ACL. He was back by 2021, the beginning of the season. It took him 11 to 12 months to recover from torn ACL. That's a 25-year-old. Took him 11 months. George Pickens, at 20 years old, took him 9 months from March. Didn't return to the next November. Robert Woods, at 29 years old, took him 10 to 11 months. In 2021, when he got back, his production basically was cut in half. He went from being about 800, 900 yards a season to 400, 500 yards a season, half the amount of catches. Michael Gallup, here's a good one. At 26 years old, he blew his ACL in 2022. He returned 9 to 10 months later and subsequently didn't catch a pass basically for a year and is now out of the league at 28 years old. Jameson Williams, another younger guy, took him 10 months in 2022 to come back. He basically sucks now. Odell Beckham Jr. tore his ACL in the Super Bowl, if you remember that. He's never played again, more or less. He was out of the league. He was 30 years old. To have confidence, full confidence that Stefon Diggs can come in here and solve your wide receiver problems at 32 years old with a blown ACL, I'm just pumping the brakes pretty heavily. My expectations are very low on that guy doing that.
Do you know what all those guys have in common?
I think you said they were dumb.
Nope, they're pussies.
Yeah, you didn't foresee that part there, so cool.
No, I didn't see that one coming. Here's what our guy Phil Perry, who was in that video, said a good season would look like for Stef Diggs. Tell me if this is good. Is this number 2 for you? This is good. This is the guy that we have South Park cum emojis. 65 catches, 650 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
It's better than fucking Pop Douglas and Booty. That's for
Is
sure. Yeah.
Can you look up Demario Douglas's stats from 2020?
Absolutely. Keep talking. Yeah.
Tommy Curran in that same podcast said the ceiling could be a bit higher. 80 catches, 850 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Look, I don't. I'll give you this again. I told you he averaged 6 catches last year. 6 catches
Ready
for
when
60
you are.
yards.
Yeah, 66 receptions and 3 touchdowns.
For Pop Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you got Pop Douglas.
No, 6 touchdowns. He doubled his fucking touchdown value.
Oh, I see.
Suck it, bitch.
Got it. And who's did the Patriots sign Nico Collins for him to run next to?
Yeah,
they did. Okay, or we're just waiting for that to happen. The trade that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, it's coming down. It's happening soon.
What are the other risks? So the other things that were talked about here, Stefon Diggs or the Patriots, we heard a lot of. They didn't want to bring in a bitchy, malcontent, veteran wide receiver that was going to really ruin Drake May and disturb his confidence and interrupt his development. So you bring in Stef Diggs. just what ripe bullshit we've heard from the Patriots.
Can I ask a question,
wide
though?
Receiver search for years.
Where in the NFL are you going to find a non-diva wide receiver?
Are you asking me or the Patriots?
Everyone.
I think there's a couple of examples. I think Cooper Kupp is a non-diva wide receiver. I think Chris Godwin's a non-diva wide receiver.
There's a very specific reason for that, obviously. So keep moving.
We don't do that on this podcast. Chris Godwin doesn't meet that criteria. I think there's a couple wide receivers. I think there's
he gives up $25 million. So you're naming the 2 fucking unicorns in the NFL here.
Well, let me ask you what's worse. And this is probably why I'm so angry. Or not angry. I'm just frustrated by the response of Patriots fans in their footy pajamas. It's because of the situation the franchise has put themselves in. So what's worse? Here's the guys that the Patriots have struck out on. Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Brandon Ayuk, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel. All of them. They gave you excuses that either we had the highest bid and they didn't want to come here, or we didn't want them in the first place. Of that list, they tried to go after every single one of them, confirmed they went after DK Metcalf, and he told them to blow. I'm not going to New England.
Which is hilarious because they don't have a quarterback. So he would rather go to a place that's shittier than New England, has no quarterback, like weather-wise, and just fucking melt away with George Pickens.
So what does that tell you?
That we suck.
Yeah. So what's worse? Either not offering, being cheap in the contracts, or going way over in the asking price, and guys not wanting to come here because you've devalued your franchise on the field so badly since Tom Brady left that nobody wants to fucking come here.
It's like going to a strip club, Richard, real quick. It's like going to a strip club when you want to have the hottest stripper there and she doesn't give you the time of day, but you have a wad of cash and she still says, nah. And then you have to go to the fat one with the C-section scars and you're like, whatever, I'll make this do. That's what you have right now. That's what New England has. The hot stripper doesn't want anything to do with you, but the fucking fat one with the C-section scars says, sure, I'll ride with you. Let's fucking go.
Just so I'm clear on this, Stefon Diggs is the fat.
Yes.
He definitely has a scar.
Yeah.
Look, let me backpedal this and I'll let you kind of finish up on it, Bobby. The signing itself, you're right. They had to make a move. They had to bring in talent. We've been saying that for a long time. I just am not. I think, and what I'll say is, I don't think they're done. The report is they're still going after veteran wide receivers. It makes me think they're not going to go into the draft without a veteran left tackle either. I think they are trying to fulfill that need to put NFL players at each position to allow themselves to be flexible in the draft. I think Vrabel will do that. I have faith that he will. I just don't really believe in this Stefon Diggs signing. If he reaches a potential, it'll be great, and I'll be wrong, and that'll be fantastic. Ray can tell me to suck it all season long if he's going out there scoring double-digit touchdowns. That's awesome. But what it looks like to me is another classic Patriot signing. It's a 1-year, $26 million deal that gives them more outs than it gives the player, and you're not quite sure if the player can play, but if he can, it's great, and if he doesn't, well, we tried. That is just what they've been doing for a long time, especially at this position. And it would have been nice to see them land a high-end talent with actual risk financially. And this is not it. It's just not. So it doesn't give me a ton of confidence that it's going to work because I've seen this movie play out before a number of times at this position in New England and usually doesn't work. Jarrell says, I've seen a stripper with only one arm. Well, hopefully Stef Diggs has 2 arms. That's pretty essential. He's only got 1 leg. So, any final thoughts on that?
Yes, I assume the stripper that gentleman was talking about was a dude, and that was his penis.
That's a fair bet.
Yeah.
That's a fair bet.
Yep.
Oh, can I give you this just to follow up on my last point that the Patriots are still being the Patriots? This was also from Tommy Curran. Average cash spent per team in the NFL over the past 3 years per year. The average cash spent per year per team over the last 3 years is $228 million. Did anyone read the email? Do you know what I'm about to say, or do you want to take a guess?
No, let's take a guess.
Are you looking at the email?
No.
Oh, fine. All right, I'll tell you. The Patriots landed per team per year at $212 million in cash. So they're $16 million under the league average in the last 3 years in cash spending. And a lot of people have done this research from the past decade, 20 years ago. Since Kraft bought it, they're in the bottom third of the league consistently, if not the bottom 3 franchises in cash spending. So this doesn't change it. We told you months ago they were going to have to spend this year to reach a minimum for the NFL. They had to spend their money on somebody. They spent it on like the 7th or 8th wide receiver off the board this offseason in Stefon Diggs, so we're not sure who can play. I don't know. Sorry, I don't have the cum emoji in my response. I can continue up at one stripper and one with no belly button. Is that even possible? That's Matrix shit. They didn't have belly buttons in the Matrix, right?
I didn't watch it, nerd.
Oh no, you just played the video game?
No, I don't think there was a video game.
You definitely know if there was a video game.
I would know if there was, yeah.
Any final thoughts? You want to take a stab at the latest from the draft? Giants signed the craziest quarterback room in the history of
It's phenomenal.
the NFL. Is that worst case for the Pats or best case? Is it Carter or Hunter at 4? If there is,
I think the Giants don't know what they're doing. They could certainly still draft a quarterback at 3.
There's talks that they're still going to go if the Sanders is available. They're taking him,
Phenomenal.
right? That's just fucking bizarre.
I've come to the, like I just said, I think the Patriots will continue to make moves here before the draft and fill their lineup with some veteran offensive pieces. I don't want to get too bullish on this, seeing as I will, seeing as I just trashed them for the last 27 minutes. I think they're going to be set up at number 4, no matter what happens, to be in a really good spot. Like if Sanders is sitting there, you've got the Raiders who are hot for him, probably the Saints who need a quarterback. That's only 2 or 3 spots.
We talk the Steelers.
Well, we talked about that in the text chain today.
Bobby, maybe you should have fucking said something in the text exchange.
Apologies.
Sorry, I heard he was with me. The Steelers are at 21. They struck out on Aaron Rodgers, blew it with Russell Wilson. They have quite literally no quarterback. But moving from 21 to 4 is going to cost an ass load of picks and whatever else. And Shedeur Sanders is just not worth it. They're not going to do that. But moving from 6 to 4 or from 9 to 4, for another for next year's first and a second, or whatever you want, I think that feels more realistic. And you might get that for Hunter. You might get that for Sanders and or Hunter if you don't like those players enough. Certainly, you're not going to draft Sanders. So, and if you do like Hunter, you take him. And if you want Will Campbell, you trade back. I think they'll be in an okay spot at number 4.
I mean, they're set up for either Hunter or Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter is the best player in this NFL draft, and if you can get him at 4, while all these other teams are swinging and missing on quarterbacks that are going to be irrelevant in 3 years, that's a win for the Patriots.
Yeah. If you look at, go ahead, Bobby.
I was going to say, I don't believe that the 2 quarterbacks will go. I don't think Carter or Hunter will be there, and I think they're either going to take Will Campbell or if they can get a trade partner somehow, trade. But I feel like it's just they end up picking Campbell. I just don't see the other 2 being there.
Yeah, if you look at it, if you like Hunter, you're either going to have a combination of Hunter, Abdul Carter, or Sanders, who should pot you some type of future draft compensation. So, Shedeur Sanders, I get that there's question marks around him, but the Raiders, and I'm going to throw the Saints in this bucket, they kind of need him. They need a quarterback. They need to do something. And we see what happens to teams when they get to this draft. They go fucking bananas for quarterbacks. EJ Manuel was picked in a top 10 by the Bills. Like, Shedeur Sanders is not I don't think going to get past pick number 4. I think the Raiders, if he's there, will trade for him. It's only 2 spots. It's not going to cost him a ton. And LA, Dion, like the whole thing, so I think that is a real possibility.
I can see the Cleveland.
4 to 6 trade would be a home run for the Pats. They could go 4 to 6 and still get Campbell.
Yeah,
They could get the guy they want, pick him at 6, and then they could pick up just their second round pick or whatever it is that they do, but they could still get the guy that they want at 6.
That's what I mean. I see, like, if you can float that and that, take that extra capital, get back to the first round and get a wide receiver top in the first round. I think that's your ideal situation. Obviously, we're relying them and pick the right guys. Hopefully, Elliot Wolf is,
not doing it,
not a part of it. So there you go. Obviously, I am not terribly high on Stefon Diggs. Certainly not as high as Raymond, even though he backpedaled about as far as you can.
I said exactly what I fucking said. He's a number 2 goddamn wide receiver. And if you can get Hunter,
go through this entire text chain, and I will not find you saying he's a number 2 wide receiver here at all. Actually, what it says is, I can't wait for him to score 1,000 fucking touchdowns and piss on your grave, Rich. Or, oh, you're such an idiot.
I didn't say anything about you on your grave.
Julian Edelman, he got 1,000 yards after he blew his ACL. I'm like, well, he had Tom Brady. And then I look at it. Oh, no, what a surprise. Ray was completely fucking wrong about everything he said for a goddamn 2.5 hours of bitching about this. Not once during that did you say he's a good, solid number 2. You were creaming your pants as you got angry at me for talking about the realistic possibility that a 32-year-old malcontent may not be available for week 1 and be the savior next to Travis Hunter, who's a fucking quarterback. Headlines with the August.